Now, this is a game I wanted to talk about for a while. It's just I didn't have enough time to play through it. Judgment, originally known as Judge Eyes in Japan, is a spin-off of the Yakuza series, where it combines the distinct gameplay of the Yakuza series, its action-style gameplay, and combining it with an investigation aspect, similar to games such as Ace Attorney and Danganronpa. Judgment's combination of these two gameplay styles gives it a sort of charm that a bunch of people, including myself, have been loving, and why I think this game is a great new IP that I can't wait to see more of. I know it's been a year since the game came to the States, but let's see if this game is worth it. Judgment takes place in Kamurocho, the same district as the one in the Yakuza series. Expect me to make a lot of comparisons to the Yakuza games, but in this game, you play as Takayuki Yagami, a former defense attorney who worked for the Genda law offices. 3 years ago, he managed to get a not guilty verdict for a murder trial, and the next month, the man he defended was then accused of murdering his girlfriend. Feeling the guilt of this, Yagami resigns and becomes a private detective, and he finds himself roped up in the mystery about the Mole, a serial killer that has been going after Yakuza members, but each with a distinct signature about the bodies. Their eyes have been gouged out. Working alongside Yagami, he has his partner, Masaharu Kaito, a former member of the Matsugane family who is a gentle giant. He's loving and caring, but isn't afraid to get downright violent when the going gets tough. He's not the smartest in the bunch, but he's a good foil for Yagami's cool and collectedness.
Come on!
Saori Shirosaki, a defense attorney that works at the same law office that Yagami was a part of, who has a love for sweets.
All but half. Hope you don't mind.
Masamichi Shintani, Yagami's senior who showed him the ropes, who's a bit of an asshole to Yagami.
You know, must be so nice to be a rock star.
Mafuyu Fuji, Yagami's ex-girlfriend and Saori's best friend, who is a prosecutor that frequents around the Genda law office.
He's just been lying in wait for the perfect moment to strike.
And Ryozo Genda, his superior and the owner of the law office that Yagami worked at.
Yeah, you bet. He's more experienced.
There's a bunch of more characters that I haven't really discussed about, but the thing is, I'm just trying to keep so little about this, because one of the biggest things with a Yakuza game is that there's just so much to the story, and I don't even want to explain some of the characters that show up past chapter 1 or 2. They all have their own distinct personalities that really do show throughout the game, and each have their own charm. And just I wanted to know more about each and every main character throughout the game. I looked forward to interacting with these characters more and more as the story went on, and it's just that I want to talk more about the story, but I don't want to spoil anything outside of it. But know this going in. The characters managed to keep the story interesting, apart from the game's already interesting plot that pulled me in. The gameplay that I mentioned before is a combination of the action-adventure gameplay of the Yakuza series and investigative gameplay similar to those such as Ace Attorney and Danganronpa, where the battle system is very similar to those who have played the Yakuza games beforehand. Yagami has two distinct fighting styles: Rain, which is more for crowd control and defeating groups of enemies, and Tiger, which is meant for more one-on-one battles, breaking guards with its normals and dealing a bit more damage. And this wouldn't be a Yakuza game without the over-the-top heat actions, but in this game they're called EX actions. And they definitely do not disappoint. While one complaint I do have is that they reuse some of the animations from previous Yakuza games, they're still just as entertaining and hype as they were before. Another way to use your EX meter is by using the EX charge, which greatly increases your strength and combo speed. Along with that, you have exclusive heat actions alongside the EX charge. I guess the only real problem I have with these battles is that it can be a bit too repetitive, which is how I feel when it comes to the regular Yakuza games also. It's a major way to get SP, which can be used to upgrade your abilities, but I'll get back to the upgrades in a moment. But let's talk about the other major gameplay element, and that's the different investigation methods, which is completely new to those with the Yakuza series. There are various ways to gather evidence. There's, of course, checking out the scene of a crime and look around to see if there's any evidence, pursuing a suspect where you have to follow someone and see if they're meeting any of their contacts, chasing after a suspect, which kind of reminds me of Shenmue chase sequences. lockpicking and disguising yourself in order to get evidence, and using a drone to spy in on a subject from a vantage point. And when you need to present the correct evidence to show the contradictions in a testimony. While most of these were pretty fun and implemented pretty well, minus one time where it was glitching really hard at one point when I had to tail a suspect, it ended up giving me a game over a couple of times. But other than that, the systems were a fun experiment that managed to keep the gameplay a lot more refreshing. In the end, I felt like a detective. I felt like I was a former lawyer. I felt like a badass that could beat the crap out of people, while proving them wrong. The aspect felt very Ace Attorney-like, specifically the investigation and finding contradictions, which I feel more than enough people have made that comparison enough. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It gives it something to separate from the original series that this was based off of. It gives it a new identity that, while it may have been frustrating at points for me, I want to see more of it implemented in more. But while you're not solving mysteries, there's plenty to do apart from the main stories. You have plenty of mini games, there's some great arcade games, like there's an original light gun game they put in the game. Unfortunately, no light gun support. Full arcade versions of Puyo Puyo, fighting Vipers, and wait, is that Virtua Fighter 5? Like a full-on arcade version of that? That version of the game like came around like 2010. That's awesome. Apart from the arcade games, there's drone racing, and plenty more mini games from the Yakuza games are back, like darts, home run derby, mahjong, and karaoke. Unfortunately, while I might be a fan of the karaoke, it's not a deal breaker. There's still plenty more to do, because there's also sub-stories, which are going to be familiar with those of the Yakuza series. They match up with some of the silliness with some of these side stories. Along with that, you have friend events where you have to increase your reputation throughout the city of Kamurocho. And that gives access to more side cases, which I'm not really too fond of. While the friend events are nice and entertaining, I don't like the fact that you're blocked from certain side cases until you've befriended enough people. I mean, the good news is that they don't take long to befriend people, and before you know it, you'll have a high enough reputation in no time. All of these give so much to do around Kamurocho. Easily, the game can be completed around 20 to 25 hours or so, which is the average length for a Yakuza game, and all of this extra stuff just adds like more. And the amount of detail they give you, it easily gives you at least 5 more hours worth of extra content. There's so much more to do in this game, so when you want to take a break from the story, the game still has other things to keep you occupied for a long, long time. Now let's talk sound design. The music is pretty good and is able to match the emotion of scenes. Along with that, it's able to like pump you up, especially the battle theme too. A nice little touch that they put in is that there's a distinct music change when you switch styles in random battles. And a lot of these songs are able to just hype me up when I'm in a battle, especially like the story battles, like the really long ones that's like known in the Yakuza series. Like, I love those like distinct songs. But my favorite part of the music are the 2 songs that were used for the ending and the opening, both being performed by the J-Rock group Alexandros. Your Song and Arpeggio, respectively. Arpeggio being my favorite out of the 2. The intro that accompanies the song also is nothing short of beautiful. After playing the game, I've been listening to the album where both of these songs are found. Check out the album Sleepless in Brooklyn. I don't know if they're on Spotify, but still, check them out. Of course, one of the major things that interests me was the fact that this game has an English dub, which has been the first time a Yakuza game has been dubbed since the original on the PS2, and
Hey, what the fuck? What the fuck are you doing?
At least we had the treat of hearing Mark Hamill swear.
Stupid! Fucking motherfucker! You stupid motherfucker! Get ready to get fucked up.
I've listened to key scenes in Japanese, but I played the game predominantly in English. All the voice actors in the game for the dub did a phenomenal job on voicing their respective characters and were able to match their Japanese counterpart to a degree. I guess one gripe I have is that while the main story casts are voiced, none of the extras are voiced. Characters related to the story are fully voiced, but any extras still speak in Japanese. which is a bit weird for me.
Yep.
Hopefully with more of a budget, they'll be able to get some extras, but until then, I'm happy that they managed to put in a dub, and hopefully they'll be proceeding with another dub, at least with either future Yakuza games or even with a possible Judgment sequel. Putting all of this together, the game is, simply put, very beautiful. One of the biggest things, I don't know if you guys have seen, is I enjoy the charm of how a game presents itself, using the term interactive, and Judgment has this interactive J-drama feel, which is the same way I feel about the Yakuza games. I found myself during the cutscenes like just gasping at the emotional scenes and laughing when they managed to take some comic relief. The game is very well written and well paced. Not one point did I feel that the story dragged. I was constantly trying to figure out the entire mystery that the game was presenting with me. One of the biggest problems I have with the Yakuza games is I guess I get too distracted with the minigames to play the plot, but with Judgment, every time I completed a story mission, I wanted to play through the story more and more. I had to force myself to go through the side cases. The moment I got to the plot, I really didn't stop. Only really stopping by shops just to get healing items. I can see why this game had so much hype and love behind it. It's a different look at the city of Kamurocho, with a different cast too. I hope to see more from this setting. I love Judgment all the way through, and I ask, is the game worth it? I bought the game at full price on launch with $60. Honestly, this game is worth $100. I can't wait to play more of it and even spend some money on the DLC. You're bound to get your money's worth through just the story. While certain gameplay aspects may be a bit frustrating for some, I found myself getting frustrated at points too. I'm saying that if you were to buy this game right now, you'd get your money's worth. If it's on sale, even better. But this is a game I truly still have to say you're going to get your money's worth and then some. With that said though, guys, my name is Well Dressed Gem, and I'll see you guys next time.